Hello.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Good morning. Want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to hop on a youth sports mentorship podcast, Coach.
Of course, of course. Thank you for having me.
So now, Coach, with this youth sports mentorship podcast, we want to continue bringing guests on to, share their stories, talk about their professions, and also share a little bit about their background, growing up, people that made a difference in their lives. So, with that being said, introduce yourself to the good people.
Okay. Well, I'm Josh Crutchfield. I'm young. I'm about 22 years old. I'm from Orange County, California. I grew up there my whole life. Orange County is about an hour between LA and San Diego. I grew up there until 17. At 17, I graduated high school. I went to a 4-year Christian college, played basketball there. Had a pretty good career, I'd like to say, at Gordon College, just north of Boston. So I made a huge jump from Orange County to Boston.
Oh,
It was
wow.
probably the it was probably the best decision I could have made at that age. And my mindset was, I'm young. I don't have any commitments or anything like that. Let me travel as much as possible at a young age because I'm not going to be able to do that when I have a wife and kids and different things like that. And I want to have the experience to live in different parts of the country. So I graduated last year with a degree in recreation, sports, and wellness with a minor in kinesiology and a concentration in sports studies. So I had a phenomenal it was a phenomenal life changing decision to do that. Especially because I just grew in my faith tremendously. I didn't have the funds to travel back home so much, so I only went back home 2 times during the school year, and then I stayed with my mom for the summer. Mom's a minister in Inglewood, so she doesn't play around.
Oh,
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So she is who I am. She's the reason behind that. I'm a very, very big prayer warrior just because of her, and she's behind me in every corner. And she's just done amazing things for me. And then after I graduated, I was gonna do another 5th year because of the COVID year. And I was looking at a couple schools. I was looking at schools in California. Then I was also going to go to London and get my master's and stuff like that. But it just didn't work out financially. So I took a grad assistant position here at Greenville University. And oh my gosh, it has been the biggest blessing you could have imagined. I just completed my first year coaching. I moved out here in August in Southern Illinois. I'm about an hour east of St. Louis. And I quickly just learned as much things as possible. I was given with a lot of responsibility within my first year. Coach Barber, he's been phenomenal. He's been a phenomenal mentor to me. He's been here for about 23 years at Greenville University. Um,
Oh,
he does, he does absolutely everything. He's probably the happiest guy you'll ever meet in your life. And it's just nice because that's the kind of guy that I want to work for. When you look at different basketball environments, sometimes they're toxic, sometimes they're great, but he has just been super helpful to me because he's allowed me to be who I am and allowed me to take on so much responsibility at a young age. You know what I mean? As a grad assistant, you have to do absolutely everything you can whenever you can, no matter what happens. That's like kind of your responsibility. And he's allowed me just to kind of develop my own coaching philosophy, coaching
your own
style.
style.
Yes, exactly. He's allowed me to take on the different responsibilities, watch film, break down film, player development, offensive schemes, defensive schemes, you name it. He's allowed me to do that. So he's been great. And like for that to happen for a 23-year-old, 23 vet to allow me, a first year coach, to do so much, like that's crazy. So it's very unheard of in the basketball world. So it's just been great. And so yeah, that's like a nice little background about me. One of the things that really made me who I was is I lost my father when I was 11 years old, to cancer and stuff like that. And so, I had to grow up a lot faster than a normal kid. I battled with a bunch of mental health issues, different things like that growing up. And so, I think my journey, growing up with a single mom, and, I'm the youngest of three, I just learned how to become more independent and, love God and rely on God a lot more just because, when you're alone, that's when God really shows up. So,
Uh-huh.
that's what made me who I am. And so it's been a huge, huge blessing just to be able to do all this at 22. So yeah.
That that kind of explains a lot. You've accomplished so much
Mhm.
already. So your coach, your head coach, has been coaching longer than you've been born, and you're fresh out the gate. You're already on the coaching staff of a college program. Now, what is your role when it comes to recruiting so far?
So we have two teams, the varsity team and then our G squad, which is our developmental team pretty much. And so I'm I'm basically like the right hand of Coach Barber. I handle all the recruiting for the varsity squad. So we focus on JUCOs, transfers, and some unsigned seniors maybe to sign, depending on who they are and what they bring to the table. But I handle all the recruiting when it comes to the varsity squad, and so it's been very, very fun because I've had mistakes, but I've also learned so much, and I've kind of developed a routine and kind of what my vetting process that I want to go through. And so, whenever I recruit a kid, I always ask them, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and the school you're looking for? You know what I mean? Because that'll tell me a lot about them. And then usually, they'll tell me that, they're kind of open to all divisions. And when they do that, that's kind of when I tell them, okay, we're Division III Christian school, we're a small school, but what we have to offer when it comes to basketball wise is different because we don't give out athletic scholarships. It's all academic at the Division III level. So, the higher the GPA, the more money they get for scholarships, right? That's like the normal thing at the Division III. And so, but we have a very, very different philosophy when it comes to basketball. We've led the nation in scoring for the past 7 years at 124 points a game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? And so that kind of just sells itself. You know what I mean? I want to bring in the right guys with high character, high academics that want to have fun, that want to be here. And because of our offense is so free flowing. And so Coach Barber implemented the system in 2015. It's kind of like the LMU, the Guru of Go.
Were you on the Marymount back in the day?
Yeah, so it's exactly that. So we trap all 40 minutes of the game. Made or missed shots. We shoot about 53s a game. We've led the nation in points, steals, 3 points made, 3 points attempted, offense rebounds, defense rebounds, different things like that over the course of 7 years. On the way to Coach Barber's office, you see like a bunch of plaques that just kind of just says like number one, and this. So, and then in 2018 to 2019, they broke the NCAA record in scoring at 134 points a game. I wasn't part of it because I just completed my first year, but yeah, they did that, and then they put up 200 points in a game. So,
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
now, whatever hair I got on my head is standing up.
yeah. So I wasn't here at that time, but I've watched the film of it, and it's just crazy the things that you can accomplish when you allow your players to be who they are, and just allow them to play in this type of system. I mean, when you bring in the right athletes and the right character guys, you can just have a lot of fun in this system. And so I want to kind of get back to that. We had a rough year last year, record wise and stuff like that, but we're getting right back to it. So it's going to be fun.
Okay. Now, as you're talking, I'm going back to episode I had with the Dankind Academies, academy in East Africa, and the gentleman that runs it, he's like multilingual, and the kids at his academy are multilingual. Most of them are like South Sudanese refugees, and they're trying to find schools to further education, play ball in America. And during the interview, I came in more with a sports mindset, but I was left blown away by how intelligent and talented these kids were off the basketball court. So I'm definitely going to send clips of this podcast episode to some of those student athletes at the Dankind Academy. Most definitely
should, but yeah, no, like when it comes to recruiting, I'm just trying to look for guys that want it. You know what I mean? I don't, you could average 30, 35 points a game, but if you can't handle yourself off the court, you can't handle yourself in the locker room, you're not going to be a great teammate. It's going to be hard to get into a college program, especially with nowadays, especially at our school, because we want guys that just want to be there, that are great guys in the community. You know what I mean? As a basketball player, you stand out no matter where you go. Like everyone knows your face. You there's no hiding behind it. There's basketball players have a certain walk. They have a certain type of stigma and character about them that you can't hide. So we want our guys to be great people off the court. We want you to go to class. One of the things I tell my guys every day is go on the first day of school is go introduce yourself to your professors, because that goes such a long way academically. Okay. And that's what I used to do, at Gordon, and it would just help me out tremendously when it comes to, building relationships. Saying maybe you're just having a tough day and you just can't go to class, emailing your professor, they're going to be a lot more understanding when there's a face to it. They're not, instead of just, oh, he's an athlete, he's not coming to class, he's just doing this, he doesn't care about academics. Rather than you go introduce yourself, oh, hi, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Now I could see your face. And now, okay, he's actually very understanding. He's caring. He wants to be here. He's just having a tough day. And those are the things that really matter, especially at the college level, especially when, when you're traveling for games away, you know what I mean? You have to miss class sometimes, unfortunately, but that's just a really good thing to do.
Excellent, excellent tips right there, right out the gate. And Coach, kind of share with our young viewers, especially for student athletes specifically, actually, the importance of mental health awareness and self-care at the college level.
Yeah. So one of the things, I'll talk about my own journey, especially in the college realm of being 17 to 21, in the college world and stuff like that. My first year, I was kind of all over the place. I was kind of shocked with how much freedom you have in the college world. Like, I've always had freedom because my mom always trusted me to be who I am and everything like that. She did tremendous. So like, I had a lot of practice and stuff like that. But my first year, no matter how well prepared you are, you're going to be shocked about how much freedom of time you have. So time management is the biggest thing you can imagine. So, first year in college, I was kind of just, hanging out with all my friends late at night, going to go hang out in their rooms, stuff like that. So it was really cool. But then my grades didn't really reflect that. And that's also, being a basketball player, you have to know time management. You have practice, you have to study, you have to go to class, you have to eat, you have to have a social life. All those things come into play. So that pressure was just a tremendous thing. And I really felt that my second semester, my freshman year. And so I was just like, okay, like, I'm not really happy. You know what I mean? I need to, figure this stuff out. And then, that summer, I didn't figure it out. I just continued to do what I want, hang out with my friends. And, I didn't really grow mentally. And, that kind of put a huge burden on my life. My sophomore year was, I want to say, the changing point, because I went through a lot that sophomore year where I still was in the bad habits and stuff like that. And I just wouldn't do the things necessary to change. You know what I mean? And so I kind of had to do a lot of self-reflection at the end of the year. And so, I changed my major. I was a kinesiology major starting off. And that was just a huge, it was no joke. It was tough. So I was a kinesiology major. Then I switched at the end of my sophomore year to recreation, sports, and wellness. And that's when my life completely changed, like completely changed. So, going into my junior year, I had a professor named Dr. Valerie Jin. She's a phenomenal woman. She's very, very well known in the sports world. And she kind of just took me under her wing as a professor. And she just breathed life into me. She breathed how to talk in public spaces, how to do a presentation, how to do different things like that. Just simple things, don't say in sentences when you're presenting. Don't look at your notes during presenting. Read it, know it like the back of your hands. And just that viewpoint and her breathing life into breathing instead of just teaching. She was like ministering pretty much in a classroom. And so just seeing that completely changed my whole life, because it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to impact people. And so, and then, when it comes to mental health, my junior year was my turning point in my faith, because I always had, a staple point in my faith. But when you're alone in Boston in the cold, that gets
different
lonely.
level. Yeah.
A different level when it's 5 degrees outside and you're right by the ocean, the wind's coming at you, walk backwards to class, all that. So, I really took into journaling. So I started getting into journaling. I started writing my thoughts down, writing my emotions down, and that's when I kind of picked up poetry. And so I used to write. I began writing poetry very, very well. I used to do it in high school, here and there, but in the high school athlete stigma is a whole different breed. I don't want to. That's a whole other conversation. But I started journaling, and my faith just began to grow tremendously. I started listening to Mike Todd at Transformation Church on YouTube. And if any young person is out there and you want to figure out how to grow spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all that, listen to Michael Todd on YouTube. He's with Transformation Church.
Michael Todd?
Michael Todd.
Okay.
I can't even put into words how amazing he is, because he talks about real life issues, things that, we go through, what it means to be in a relationship, relationship goals. He kind of paints the perfect picture on what a relationship's supposed to be like. And that's something that, you deal with as a college student, because everyone wants a girlfriend, everyone wants a boyfriend at that time, you know what I mean? And so, but he allows you to talk about being single. And so, and growing in your own faith. And so that whole junior year was crazy for me, because I was kind of transforming into the person who I needed to be. And I saw that in myself, and that made me happier. It took off all the pressures, it was like, big question I had that my junior was, well, what if my dad was still here? What if my dad was still here? And that was really, really hitting me at a point where it's kind of hammering every day. But then I kind of just let all that emotion go through my writing, through my poetry, through, listen to sermons on YouTube and stuff like that. And so it was just phenomenal. And then I was blessed, at the end of the year, I spoke in front of the chapel and gave my whole testimony. And that was the first time and that was in front of the whole school and like 1,500 people. And that was a staple point in my life. That was like the pinnacle when I was like, okay, like God, like you gonna take control of my life type of thing. And it was just amazing just because the amount of vulnerability that I was allowed to share during that, that chapel testimony, it broke down like the whole crowd. And like people would come up to me after and was just like, I didn't even know that, because I was just a nice, happy dude all the time playing basketball and stuff like that. And so like, that's all they saw me as. They didn't see me as a guy that was going through so much off the court. They only saw me, what they saw me dancing, they saw me having fun, everything like that. That's what they viewed me as, but they didn't know the mental health behind it. And so that just allowing me to speak like that was just crazy. And that was a huge blessing. And then my senior year is when I just kind of, that was a COVID year. And so, I was allowed to even just take that next step into my faith. And so it's just been a huge journey. It's been a huge, huge journey. I love every single second of it.
Now, picking up off that, if you were, this a question we'd like to ask our guests, we remix it sometimes if it's an author on the show, but if you were coming up with a movie about your life story thus far, what would be the title of the movie? Which actor would play you, and kind of talk about why?
Oh, that's a great question. It's funny that you asked this, because I think later down on the road, I want to write a book. You know what I mean? Just because, and I've done a little like, spoken words about it, but I think the title of it would probably be The Falsehood of Manhood. Because
copyright that right quick.
yeah. So I don't know nobody taking that, but like that, I think that definitely is it, because I don't care who you are as a man, if you ask the responsibilities of a man, they're going to be like, it's a different thing that people don't even speak on. They don't speak on it at all. And every man goes through it. Every man can relate to it. No matter who you are, no matter what age, you're going to go through it. And that falsehood of manhood is so real, because, you grow up with the stigma of being, you got to be strong. You can't show emotion. You can't do this. You can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't do any of that. So that's what I would build my book on around, because it's like, there's a lot of falsehood in manhood,
Facts.
Yeah. So one of the biggest, questions I always ask people is, how can you be a rock if you're hollow in the inside? That's like one of my favorite lines. It's because
Repeat it again.
How can you be a rock if you're hollow on the inside? And so that's huge, because, man is supposed to be the rock of the family. You're supposed to hold everybody down. But, if you hollow on the inside, you're eventually going to crack. And then that's going to open up, and then everyone's going to know you're empty. And then what are you going to do? That's a whole nother identity crisis. So, I allow myself to build foundations in myself. So that way, when I do have a child, when I do have a wife, and I do have to take care of all these other responsibilities, I can breathe love into them. I can breathe life into them in a healthy way. You know what I mean? I want to break the generational curses of everything else that's going on in a lot of different families. And, I just want to be a strong Black man for my family, and, be there for other young African-American males. Because, I'm a young guy, I relate with my guys very well, but I think that's definitely what my movie would be about. Now, who would star it? Ooh, that's tough. I think who I would allow to star it would be
got the lead role in The Falsehood of Manhood.
Oh,
the Joshua Crutchfield story.
I want to say, obviously, like, I feel like the two obvious ones would be like a younger Will Smith, a younger Denzel Washington. It's like a given, right? But if we're gonna pick like a current actor, there's one that's on the tip of my tongue. I forgot what movie it was in. Honestly, the name that keeps popping up is Jaden Smith, is Will Smith's son. Even though I think so, just because of his personality and his expression of himself, I think he would master the role, and he would take pride in it. I think he would express it in his own different way. Kind of just seeing that in the background would be kind of cool. But I think so. Like that name just kind of popped up. So I think that would definitely be someone, so definitely that.
I was actually thinking back to Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace.
No, I was gonna say him, but I was just like, rest in peace, man. Like that one actually really got to me too. I don't know why. Like I never met him, nobody ever met him, but like when he passed, it was just like
heavy.
It was, and like I didn't know why. It was like I was on the plane ride back. I remember it clearly. I was on the plane ride back to Boston, and, you know, to finish up my, you know, middle of my senior year kind of thing. And I was just like, dang, like, that's like, I like, usually I don't like grieve like that when it comes to like celebrities, different things like that. But like,
Yeah.
it hit home. And as much as I'm sure other people did too, but it was just like, dang, you know? So it's tough.
From a sports lens, you know, he knew his days were numbered, but he left it all on the line. His
Exactly.
work ethic,
Oh, yeah.
preparation for the role,
Oh my
going
God.
all out, even on the back of his mind, he knew his time was, you know, was limited.
Absolutely. And that's what I think that's what that, you know, that played a huge piece in it too. It's just like, dang, that's tough. That's
Yep.
tough.
Yeah. Coach, I want to thank you for you know, sharing a little bit about yourself. It's beyond basketball, it's beyond sports with our
Mhm.
youth sports mentorship. I actually hope to have you on the fatherhood virtual town hall this summer, if you know, if you have 15 to 20 minutes on your schedule, actually, Coach.
I'll definitely carve out time. You know, this summer is going to be kind of packed, especially in June for me. But yeah, no, I'll absolutely make time 15 to 20 minutes because I think, you know, we need times like we need people like this. We need people like you that are going to allow people like young people like me, old people like me, other than like that. Everybody, we need everybody to be in informational exactly. And I think that's how we really just cure the community in a different sense.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and so I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing right now.
Much appreciated. Give a quick shout out to your program, Coach.
Yep. So, like I said, I'm a grad assistant at Greenville University in Southern Illinois. You know, my Twitter is Coach J211. And then my Instagram is personal, but if you find it, you find it. I don't really care. But yeah, but yeah. So, you know, I really appreciate you guys. If you just reached out, if you have any questions about life, you just want to chop it up, let me know. My DMs are always open. It might be a little delayed because of all the messages, but please reach out because I will eventually find it, and I'd love to talk about life with anybody.
Much appreciated for this blessing, Coach. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
Peace.